Welcome to On Second Thought. I'm John Price, and I'm here with our pastor, Jay Hackett, where every week we take a deeper dive into life at Peachtree Corners Baptist Church. Whether we're talking about the latest sermon, upcoming events, or just whatever's on Jay's mind, this is your insider look at our church, our staff, and what makes PCBC your church on the corner. So join our conversation as we help you find community, purpose, and growth. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to On Second Thought. This is episode 32, and we are wrapping up October, which is Mission Month. We've had a full month with starting with October Feast. I had a great time with that, and then just kind of the concentric circles of Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, uttermost parts of the world, as we focused each week on the local, the stateside, and then this Sunday, the international. Had John Njoroge there, and I got to be with the group that went to Kenya a few months ago to see Valley Light, to see Pisgah Heights School that they run, and I really enjoyed getting to know John better. And, there were a few nights where we just kind of stayed up late and talked about family, talked about ministry. And as ministers get together, we talk about the subtle nuances that, other people have families, other people have stressful jobs, other people have, but it's one of those things where maybe from the outside, it doesn't look like a hard job, a stressful job, right?
No.
It's, you just preach on Sunday. You basically work Sunday, maybe Wednesday a little bit. And so being able to have those conversations and just kind of ride in the car with him as we went to the church for worship service, and then doing a pastor's, well, they call it a breakfast. It wasn't a breakfast. I didn't get anything to eat, but
No.
I'm not bitter. But I got to speak to the local pastors. But it was a great visit. And so being able to introduce him yesterday, kind of like I said, his CV, his resume is very impressive.
Oh, yeah.
He's spoken across, all over the world, apologetics, and just respected. We drove by, when we were there in Kenya, some billboards were like he was on the billboard. And
Really?
Yeah. So we got to do that for you.
Yeah, Amy always said, I need a pastors, Jay and Amy Hackett. And I was like, yeah. We'll have to change the nomination for that to really occur. But no, it was great to have John with us. And, you weren't on staff yet when John and Leah were here as members for a 7-year period while they were in the States. And he was traveling with RZIM and doing all kinds of things. And then would periodically pop in, to Kenya and to Valley Light and doing the different things. And then back in 2016, when he really felt God was calling them back to Kenya, we kind of got to send them back, and been a prayer supporter of theirs, been a financial supporter of theirs. But it was just great to have them home, and I appreciated him saying that yesterday. We're back in our home church, and then just hearing his heart as he talked about just the message and the ministry that we're called to. And we do live in a day and an age where content is more entertainment driven. What doesn't offend. And what can I say that is going to kind of walk the line a little bit, make people happy? Style
over substance.
Yes.
One of the things you said. Yeah. Is there a way that I can, not stepping on any toes, but alliterate this? Or
yes.
is there
wow. Yeah, I was impressed. I just do one letter. He did too.
Yeah.
And, so I think he was trying to show me up a little bit on Sunday, but it's just, it is that battle, that you face. And am I here to please man, or am I here to please God?
Yeah.
And there's still a way that you can do it with grace and address it. Because behind everything that Scripture is talking about, there's a purpose for that and a process to that. And so it's not only what the Bible says, but it's why God says these things. And it's because he wants the ultimate best for every one of us. And so content is very important, and then I appreciated even what he was talking about with the context.
Right.
And
the context of your method.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, it's not everything works everywhere, but it's like, okay, what are you dealing with? What are the questions that are being asked?
know your audience.
Know your audience.
And, yeah, and the gospel is the good news, and so you can kind of miss the target even with the truth if you're talking about the good news being about heaven, and you're talking to somebody who's like, heaven's one thing. I need hope now.
Today.
And so, part of understanding someone's story and the context is what is their good news? It's not the same thing as this is my truth. I mean, it's all the same story, but what is it that about the gospel, the good news, that connects with that person that they would say, oh, this is amazing news. This is a life raft for me. Not just, hey, tough it out. It gets better when you die. Yeah. Which is true, but that's just part of it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of that kingdom message again. It's the now and the not yet.
So, I've mentioned on here before, Randy Pope being a big mentor of mine. And, he does a thing every year at Perimeter where he just gets up and lets people question him. And throw out these things. And we've been seeing a lot more of that apologetics kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I had asked him, I said, all right, dude, I said, you don't get the questions beforehand. You don't know what's coming. I said, how in the world do you do that? And he kind of broke it down for me. He said, listen, everything really is about 5 questions.
Yep.
And so, he said, what you've got to do is listen enough to figure out which of these 5 are they asking. Yeah. Now, there may be 12 questions that lead to this one real question, but he says, you kind of dig down enough to know what they're asking.
Yeah.
And to know why they're asking it. Mm-hmm. And so in that scenario and in that situation, it's like, all right, hold on a second. You're very passionate about this. Apparently this has happened, right? Or you've experienced this, or this has happened. And so now you're going, well, I need to know where I'm at on that. And why did that happen? And he said, so it becomes one of those things to where you go, okay, what you're really asking is this, and I can answer that.
You're listening to the music, not just the lyrics.
Yes.
And that subtext of, a lot of times people ask those kind of, what about the dinosaurs? Mm-hmm. Or the people in, the darkest, parts of the world that haven't heard the gospel. What about them? And not that those things don't have answers, but those aren't the questions that are really keeping people up at night. Those are kind of the smoke screen or the thing at top that, he's absolutely right. You got to get underneath and say, what is the real hurt here? What's the real wound? What's the real question?
Yeah. I heard Bryant Wright say the other day, he was on a commercial, one of those right from the heart kind of moments. Yeah. And he said, it's not our intellect that keeps us from the gospel, it's our pride. Mm-hmm. And so it's that kind of a concept of kind of going, hey, if I can throw it over here, it's not here. I don't have to deal with my own personal things.
Right.
So just that context of kind of knowing what you're going up against, ask the right questions, do some of those things. And then I thought, he hit character well, and just even shared some of the struggles that, he personally has been through in that, and kind of with his former boss and different things that were going on. Character is one, that we talk about a lot because, you can have charisma and you can have all these different talents, and talent can take you places your character can't keep you.
Yeah.
And so it's always the basics, right?
Well, and that ministry was impactful in my life and so many lives. I mean, early on in my teen years and through up into to college years, the apologetics, that was huge. And so I think if you've been in ministry long enough, you see some of your heroes fall.
Yeah.
And, the important thing is to remember we don't worship those heroes. We don't ask them into our heart. Christ is the one who saves us. And we're all, cracked vessels.
Yeah. 100%.
But he went through a tough time. Just the association. So there's some just really, just bad people thinking they're, hall monitors for Jesus.
Yeah.
That were kind of sabotaging, and just the wounds of, this guy who was a personal friend and mentor, but he shared a little bit of that. And honestly, I think the best way to connect with people is to connect through our woundedness. That's that reality, that wounded healer, that which is most private is most universal. When we share ourselves and transparency, it connects more and more. So I thought he did a great job.
But then even the challenges, that he kind of wrapped that whole thing up with is, somehow in our American Christianity, we come up with this idea that when we're doing the right things, everything's smooth. Yeah. And, just that reminder of, no, this is when you're under attack the most.
Yeah.
But God promised us, hey, you're going to go through this.
Yeah.
And, when things are going wonderful and you're doing what I'm asking, there's going to be some opposition to that. And so don't panic about the opposition, pray, get on your face, remind yourself that, hey, you know what? We're exactly where God's called us to be, and it's okay because we have His presence here with us in this moment. And, it's not smooth. And so you go, okay, there are some challenges. Let's get ready to face these challenges.
And that's why we have community.
Absolutely.
There's times when we're, I'll say, hey, look, it gets better, or just trust the Lord. And I can say it because I'm not in the middle of the storm. I know it. I know it to be true because of what He's done in the past, what I've seen. Somebody in the storm sometimes has to be reminded that. So we need each other to kind of remind ourselves this may seem like the end of the world. It's not.
It's not.
God can be trusted through it all.
That's right. No, great Sunday. And then we had the International Festival.
Yeah.
Mission Fair.
Yeah.
Yes. And did you get around to taste a lot of the stuff?
I got some of the pot stickers, which apparently word got out that I made them. Now, I made them in the sense that I put them in the oven. They were, I think, from Costco. They were out of a bag. I did not,
You're
make
ruining
all those.
Everything.
I can make them. I have made them in the past. But I did not make, however many hundred.
Very revealing. There you have it, folks.
Yeah.
You've heard it here.
There you go. That's why
John
you watch this show, so you can see the behind the scenes, the real dirt. But no, a lot of good food, a lot of great ministries. 4G3, Haggai was there. Yep. Had Elam, and Joe Connor's going to be preaching.
Connor's coming this Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's National Persecuted Church Sunday.
Right.
This will be our first year participating in that, and so excited.
Being persecuted or?
In the actual persecution of other. No, this is our first Sunday to actually acknowledge Persecuted Church in the way that it's celebrated across the board. Is it
not like International Day of Prayer, Weekend of Prayer? I think they're tied together.
Yeah, they are. They are.
So emphasis on prayer, emphasis on the persecuted church, which a lot of times we want to not think about. Yeah. Because that messes with our theology that if, kind of that Deuteronomic law, if you do good, God's going to bless you. If you do bad, He's going to curse you, which is why the book of Job was there to kind of dispel that. But if we can keep that stuff at a distance, then we're not reminded that really a call to discipleship is a call to come and die.
That's right.
And the persecution happening over there, we are blessed to have the freedoms that we do, but Jesus said all of us will be persecuted
100%,
just like He was.
And so, when one part of the body hurts, we all hurt.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a great opportunity for us to think about our brothers and sisters across the globe, some of the different things that are happening, and, almost recognize the fact that we're not far from it. Mm. And so it is a sobering thought. And so we're going to continue that into life groups and talk about the Persecuted Church with our curriculum this next week. And so just excited about that. And also Sunday will be the big give. Yeah. And so great opportunity. You've been praying about it this month, about what you want to give and where you feel God leading you. This Sunday, we'll have a special time at the end of the service where you can come forward. And, there's nothing special about that, moment other than the fact that it's you coming to the altar to say, God, I'm making this commitment to you. Right? It's not necessarily to our church, but it's to God of saying, hey, I want to continue to further your kingdom, and I want to be a part of what you're doing because you've invited me into that. And so it's a special time for our church. I think it'll be a beautiful
Yeah, and it's
just
not,
time of
it's not
fellowship
just
and worship.
an indiviment; it's a communal.
It's a communal commitment. Absolutely, we're all a part of this.
And we want to, in America, we want to make our faith just an individual thing. It is. If you look through the Scripture, it is a community thing.
Correct.
And so that's why it's a special day.
Yeah.
Is that we have been culminating in sharing our missions partners, the need, and then as a body, we decide individually, but come forward collectively to say, this is what PCBC commits to.
Correct.
For this year to give even over and above, which we have the last several years. We've met and exceeded.
Absolutely.
So this year's kind of a stretch. We've I think when I first came, it was 140. Then the next, and we passed it 150. We passed it 160. Was this last year? We gave over 200. This year's goal is 250.
Correct.
And so it'll be a big leap.
Good stretch of faith for us to say, hey, let's be a part of it.
Listen, the generosity of our people, and I think the job that Wallace has done at keeping out this the emphasis in front of folks about, man, there's a lot of great ministries doing great things.
Correct.
I think people will meet that challenge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
a lot of good stuff.
A lot of great stuff going on, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to be another great Sunday.
Yeah, and thank you guys for being with us. It's a little bit shorter of an episode, but we're making up for last week. I think last week was 45 minutes. But thank you for all you do. It is, I can say we love being a part of PCBC and just seeing what God is up to here at the Church on the Corner, in the church, in the community, and around the world. And you do a big part of that. So thank you. Have a great day, and God bless.
Well, that's it for this episode of On Second Thought. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. If you have a question or thought, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to find out more about your church on the corner, check us out at pcbchurch.org. We'll be back next week with more. So until then, have a great week and God bless.